Alright, so say we are given this problem and we asked to find the value of x. First of all, whenever you see the left hand side of an equation equated to 0, it shows that it's a quadratic equation. So first of all, let's see the general form of a quadratic equation. Like, this is the way a quadratic equation should be. The general form of quadratic, of quadratic equation is always in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, where a is the coefficient of x squared, as you can see there, coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant, just the number without an unknown variable. In this case, you see 8, there is no unknown variable there, so 8 is the constant. 6 is in front of bx, so 6 is the coefficient of x, and then we don't know the coefficient of a yet, right? At least for now. So you see, in the general form, we have x common. So this is x, but just difference in power. X, this x raised to power 2 there, and then this is just x raised to power 1. So with this in mind, we can now look for a way to also get x, or y, as the case may be, common in this problem, and then we solve the quadratic equation. So we're going to do that using the laws of indices. Now, if you don't know the laws of indices, I have a video of that. I'm going to drop the link in the description below, so feel free to check the video, so you're going to be conscious of what we're doing basically in this video. So let's get down to business. Now we have let me get my white pen there. Now we have 2 raised to the power x here. Can we find a way to bring out 2 raised to the power x there so we can get it to be common and equate it to a common algebraic term? Now, using the laws of indices, we're going to apply the power law right here. This 2 raised to the power 2x is the same as 2 raised to the power x, then raised to the power 2. Multiplication, power law, sorry. If you multiply the powers, you get back that. So we have 2 raised to the power x, which was what we're looking for. So it's going pretty well now. Plus x plus 8 equal to 0. Now, since we have 2 raised to the power x common, we can now equate. Let me do this here because I don't want to clean it. We can now say, let 2 raised to the power x be equated into, you can use any algebraic term. You can use a, b, c, to z. So let's just use a, for instance. So whenever I see 2 raised to the power x in this problem, I will substitute it with a. So doing that, finally we have a raised to the power 2. I've substituted the 2 raised to the power x there. You see, we have 6 times 2x. Now 2 raised to the power x is 8, that's 6a plus 8 equal to 0. Now finally we have gotten the quadratic equation, and then we can solve. So this is an exponential equation leading to quadratic equation. Alright, so, or rather a quadratic equation in disguise. So all you need to do is to apply the laws of indices and get your quadratic equation, and then we can solve this, hopefully by factorization method, if it is indeed factorizable. So that's it. Let me make space there so we can solve this problem. So we're going to try to solve that now. A squared, so we have a squared minus 6a plus 8 equal to 0. Now how do we solve this quadratic equation? So anytime we want to, hopefully let's try factorizing this quadratic equation. So anytime you want to factorize a quadratic equation, you're going to first of all consider the constant term there, and in this case is 8. Now you're going to look for 2 factors of 8 such that if they add, you're going to get exactly the coefficient of a here, which is minus 6, and if they multiply, you're going to get 8. So their sum should give us negative 6, and their product, which is multiplication, should give us 8. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by factor, I've also done a video on that. I'll also drop the link in the description below. So let us write out the factors of 8. We have 1 times 8, 2 times 4. You have 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. So these are the factors of 8. 1 is a factor, 8 is a factor of itself, 2 is a factor, and 4 is a factor. So if I've written out the factors now, we're now going to consider how we are going to add these factors to give us -6 and multiply to give +8. So how can we do that? Now you also need to be aware of the term. Since we have +8 as the product, for whenever signs are multiplying, negative times negative will give us positive, and positive times positive will give us positive. This is the only case scenario where you can have a product as positive when you're multiplying between signs. So that means that these two factors must either be negative negative or positive positive to give us +8. Very easy. So let's try with the second one first. What if you have +2 times +4? Yeah, we see we have +8. Then let's try the next way. What if you have +2 plus +4? Then put this in a bracket. It's eventually going to give you plus is still plus, so it's going to give us 2 plus 4. There will give us +6. Now it passed for the product, but it did not pass for the sum. You see, we have +6 here. However, what we're looking for is -6, so the whole of that can go. So this is not the solution. So let's try the next way around. Let's make it negative negative. So we have -2 times -4 is going to give us negative negative is positive, so we have +8, and that's correct. So let's add -2 plus -4. Plus minus will eventually give us minus, so -2 minus 4. -2 minus 4 will give us -6. So that's very correct. So the two factors we're looking for are -2 and -4. So let me just clean this. So those are the two factors we're looking for. So we're now going to replace, factorization, solving quadratic equation by factorization is just by grouping. So we're going to replace this -6a by those two factors. So rewriting this equation now, we have a raised to the power 2, then minus, we have the first factor there we have is -2. Are you seeing that now? We have -2 in this case, and the second factor is -4. So we're going to replace -6 by those terms. So let me just write it in red so you see what we're doing there. So this is minus -2a. We're going to write 2a, and then -4a. We have successfully replaced -6a, then +8, and it's equal to 0. Now by grouping, we're going to put these times 2 in individual brackets. So this, putting in a bracket now, a squared minus 2a bracket 4a minus 8. Now you notice that the sign here was positive. Now putting it in a bracket, it has changed to negative. What's the reason for that? Is because of this minus sign in front of 4a. I also have a video on this, signs, number line, arithmetic operations. If you're opening a bracket and a negative sign before a bracket, then the sign in the bracket will change. It's the same thing, you can go back and forth. So if you want to put it back in a bracket, you're going to change it in negative sign. If this negative here multiplies this negative, if you're opening the bracket, you see negative is still going to give us +8. So anytime you have a negative number and you want to factorize, putting it in a bracket, let this sign here, which was positive, let it change. If it were negative, make it positive. If it were positive, make it negative. But if this is positive sign, assuming this was +4a plus 8, you just put it in a bracket and leave everything the same way. Alright, so that's just the secret. So now let's finally solve this problem. Alright, now we're going to factorize, and we're going to factor out, and I've also done a video on that, on highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So I also dropped the video in the description below. We're just going to divide the brackets, the individual brackets, by the highest common factor. In this case it's a, so a dividing, we have a minus 2 there, and then in this case is 4. 4 dividing 4a will give you just a, and 4 dividing -8 will give you -2. And how to know you're saving a issue if you're solving factorization? If you're factorizing quadratic equation, what is in this bracket must be the same in this bracket. almost all the time. It helps you know that you're on track. So now we're going to pick I'm just going to select one of the brackets, a minus 2, and then we're going to now pick the terms outside the brackets, add it together. So picking this a and picking this positive 4, putting it in one bracket, what do we have there now? This a is positive, so that's going to give you a, and this is positive for a plus 4, and then we're just going to pick one of the brackets, that's a minus 2, and that's equal to 0. Alright, so I'm making good progress there. So let me see if I can just make a little more space. Alright, so having done that, we can now equate the individual brackets into 0. So we're going to have the first one, a plus 4 is equal to 0. So a is equal to positive 4 crossing becomes negative 4 there. Or, quadratic equations always have two answers. You have a minus 2 is equal to 0. So a is equal to positive 2. So these are the solutions to this quadratic problem. So we could leave our answer like that, a equal to negative 4. Now the real solution of this problem is positive, because we cannot have a as negative 4. So the real solution is positive 2. So we could have left this answer like this, but for the file, consider the question, say find the value of x. So we still have to go further to find the value of x. We've just gotten the value of a, as positive 2, the real solution. So now to get the value of x, now recall that that's why I had to leave this at this top side of the screen. We equated 2 raised to the power x as a. So now we've gotten the value of a. We're going to replace a there with 2, and we're going to now get the value of x. So let me just make space there, so we can now actually solve the final problem. So we have a, bring it back small. Okay, can now begin. So let 2 raised to the power x be equal to a. Then 2 raised to the power x is equal to, we got the real solution of our a as positive 2 is equal to 2. So now what will be x? Like I thought in the previous video on indices, if 2 raised to the power, if the bases are the same, now I hope you know 2 raised to the power 2 is just the same thing as 2 raised to the power 1. So if the bases are equal, then the powers are equal. So if 2 is equal to 2, then x is equal to 1, and that's the final answer. X equal to 1 is the answer to this problem, So that's it for this video. So feel free to subscribe so you can get updated, and press the notification bell so you can always get notified when I have a new video.